Have you ever looked back on a year and thought, I don't feel like I moved much? And then you pause and you realise, hang on, I'm not where I was or even who I was 12 months ago. What if the real story of your year isn't what you didn't achieve, but what you became? Today's episode is an end-of-year solo cast and it's going to be different. No hype, no guilt, no new year nonsense. Just a powerful year audit that helps you look back on 2025 with pride. Look how far I've come and be honest about what didn't happen without beating yourself up. And reset with an intentional plan for 2026 that's built on habits, focus, and compounding action. So wherever you are right now, walking, driving, in the gym, if you can, take a breath and let's do something leaders don't do often enough. Stop and reflect. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Leadership Project podcast. Today is going to be an end-of-year solo cast where we look at what we've achieved in 2025 and we set an intention for 2026. So let's start with part one. Look how far you've come. I want you to start here because most people skip it. Leaders are amazing at seeing gaps, but terrible at recognizing growth. So let's begin with pride. Let's ask yourself these questions. What went well in 2025? What did you handle this year that would have crushed you 5 years ago? What is stronger in you now? Confidence, patience, courage, discipline, calm? Who did you help this year? And what impact did you have on their life? And what did you create this year, even if it's imperfect? And finally, a big one for leaders. Where did you show up with integrity when it would have been easier not to? So take a moment, because this matters. We're often told to be humble and not to big note ourselves, but it's important from time to time to reflect and be proud of how far we've come. If you can't feel pride in progress, you'll chase the next milestones forever and never actually arrive anywhere. Now, part two is the truth audit. No excuses, no shame, but we need to get honest. Without beating ourselves up, honest. Not I failed honest, just clear-eyed honest. So the question's here. What did you say was important, but your calendar didn't reflect it? What goals did you carry all year, but never truly committed to them? What did you avoid because it required a hard conversation, a brave decision, or an uncomfortable effort? What habit, pattern, or distraction quietly stole your best energy? And here's the big one. If you're brutally honest, what was the real reason? Not the story you told yourself in your head, not the justification. What was the real reason that you avoided it? Because here's the truth. You don't reset a year with motivation. You reset a year with ownership, taking accountability for what this was that you skipped, avoided, or didn't achieve. Okay, now on to part three, the long game. There's a quote that comes up a lot at this time of year and it's worth sitting with. It comes from Bill Gates. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And you can break this down into smaller increments. People overestimate what they can achieve in 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month. But they often underestimate what they can achieve in a year, 5 years, or 10 years. So this is the leadership trap. We want fast results. So we set unrealistic short-term expectations. And then we get frustrated. We might even quit. And then we call it, I was just too busy. But the long game rewards a different person. The long game rewards consistency over intensity, systems over motivation, daily habits over heroic sprints, and it works with compounding over quick wins. Which brings me to one of my best frameworks out there. This is one of my favorites, which is the work of James Clear and Atomic Habits. Your results are not a reflection of your goals. They're a reflection of your systems and a reflection of your habits. So in 2026, don't ask, what do I want to achieve? Ask what kind of person achieves that and what do they do daily? Because the real flex isn't a big goal. The real flex is a small habit that you don't break. And that small habit compounds over time. Here's a little stat for you for the mathematics people out there. If you are 1% better every day at something, a compounding habit, what does it add up to after a year? 3,700%. Not 365%. 3,700%. So a daily small habit compounding over time is more powerful than any heroic sprint. Part 4. Let's talk about cultivating audacity and our recent conversation with Anne-Marie Anderson. It was one of my favourite conversations this year. Anne-Marie Anderson is a 3-time Emmy Award-winning sports broadcaster, but she's also the author of Cultivating Audacity. And here's the key idea I want you to take into 2026. Audacity isn't recklessness. It's courageous action that makes sense for your season of life. And she says something that every leader needs to hear. If you want a bigger life, a bigger career, a bigger impact, you have to be willing to take bigger swings. Not chaotic swings, not ego swings, aligned swings. So here's your audacity prompt for 2026. What bold move did you delay in 2025? What did you avoid? What courageous conversation have you been rehearsing instead of having? And where have you been playing small to stay comfortable when you're built for more? And the leadership version of this is, where is your team playing safe? Because you've unintentionally punished mistakes. Because leaders don't just set direction, they set the emotional climate. You set the tone. And if you're audacious, your team will be emboldened to take courageous swings. Part 5 is about focus and time blocking. This is how we make it real. This is where we get practical. Most people don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they don't protect what they care about. Your calendar is either a weapon or a wound that's going to hold you back. So here's a simple 2026 reset. The 3 wins weekly framework. Every week, pick 3 wins. 1 win for your work or your delivery. 1 win for your health or your energy. And 1 win for your relationships or your home life. If your week doesn't include those 3 things in some form, you're not leading your life, you're reacting to it. And this is where the time blocking principle comes in. If it matters, it gets a block. Not a wish, not a when I have time, a block, a time block. And yes, urgent things will show up. But in 2026 is the year that you will stop letting the urgent steal the important. So if it matters to you, put it into your calendar. What's in your calendar gets done. Make time blocks for it. Get to know yourself. There are some, like Anne-Marie Anderson, who say time blocks for her can be as little as 15 minutes. For me, it works more in 60 to 90-minute blocks, but I've learned that about myself. I need that 60 to 90-minute block to do anything meaningful and to move the needle. So get to know yourself. Are you more of a morning person or an afternoon or an evening person? And then schedule what matters to you in these time blocks. If you're a morning person who works best in 60 to 90-minute blocks like I am, that's where you schedule what's most important to you. And then you'll start seeing changes. And coming back to our habit building, you then need to do it every day. Every day, consistency matters. And if you fall off one day and you miss a day, you don't just give up. You get back on the horse and you go the next day. It's resilience that then pushes with that consistency. And over the course of the year, if you have more good days than bad days, you're going to see changes. Part 6, I'm going to lean on the work of Michael Bongay-Stanier in his work, How to Begin. Michael Bongay-Stanier, or MBS as we like to call him, has this deceptively simple idea. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a real start. You need to build inertia. So here's your begin questions. What is the smallest possible version of the thing that still counts? If it's fitness, what's the minimum session you'll do even on a bad week? If it's writing your first book, what's the minimum number of words? If it's leadership, what's the minimum care habit that you'll do for your team weekly? Make it so small that you can't talk yourself out of it, and then protect it like it's your job, because it is your job. And from here, we can start compounding. We all know this adage, like anyone that's tried running or whatever, if you take the effort to put your gym gear on, put your running shoes on, and you get out that door and you tell yourself, I'm just going to run for 5 minutes, you know you're not going to stop after 5 minutes. You keep going, but you've got to break the inertia. So if it's important to you, develop what is the bare minimum start that you can make, something that doesn't require a whole heap of commitment, and then that breaks the inertia, and before you know it, you're off and running. Part 7 is for you to look at high performance and intentionality. This is something I've learnt from Brendan Burchard. One of the simplest performance truths is this: your future is built by what you repeatedly do when no one is watching and when you don't feel like it. Once again, we come back to these habits and these commitments, and that we intentionally show up. So for 2026, you're going to raise your standards gently, not violently, but you're going to build rhythms that you can sustain, not bursts that you can't. And you're going to create an environment where you make success easier. Now, what does this look like? What does this look like, this intentionality? What it means is at the start of every day, or even the night before, that you look at your calendar and you look at everything that you're wanting to achieve there. You look at every diary entry. You make sure it's the right things. So the time blocking comes back in here. And you set an intention for how you're going to show up for each of those meetings. What does your team need? What do you need? How do you want to make people feel? And you're going to take intentional actions on how you're going to show up. It could be that in this meeting, I need to show up curious. In the next meeting, it might be that I need to be inspirational. In another meeting, I might need to be visionary and directional. So you're setting an intention for each meeting based on what is needed. Part 8, the learning point. And this is non-negotiable for leaders. All lifelong leaders are lifelong learners. So in 2026, you need at least one learning-based project. Not passive consumption, not I listened to a podcast once, although if you listen to ours, I'm greatly appreciative. A real learning project that changes how you think and lead. So your options could be choose a course with assignments and application. Or it could be a book that comes along with an implementation plan, because it's not reading that changes the world. It's the action you take because of the reading. It might be a mentoring relationship, reaching out to someone that you've always wanted to have as a mentor and having that courageous conversation with them and putting it into action. Or it might be a capability project at work. I'm going to become excellent at skill X, and then I'm going to teach my team how to do it. Might be AI. You might be falling behind on AI, and this is the year that you're going to lean into it. And here's the key. Tie it to impact. What will be better for my team, my customers, or my family because I learned this? You're not learning for learning's sake. You're learning for impact. Part 9 is our 2026 reset plan. Simple, intentional, and doable. Let's land with a tight plan. Choose your 2026 theme. Might be one word or one compass. Might be a mantra that you tell yourself. Could be consistency, courage, focus, health, presence, mastery. Something that you will remind yourself of on a daily and weekly basis. Then pick 3 outcomes. Not 12, not 20, 3. Pick 3 outcomes that you're going to focus on. If you try to do 36 things at once, you're going to fail. If you try to do 3, there's a good chance you're going to succeed. And you're going to focus and you put in the energy that makes it true. Step 3, you build systems. For each outcome, define the weekly habit, the time block, the minimum standard, and the accountability trigger. Who or what is going to keep you honest as you go through this? And step 4, you're going to pick one audacious swing. This comes from the work with Anne-Marie Anderson. What's one brave move you'll make in quarter 1 of next year, even if you feel doubt? Lock it in, date it, and block it. One audacious swing, something that you've been putting off, that it's time to stop avoiding and it's time to lean in. A conversation you've been avoiding, something that's meaningful to you, and somehow you haven't made progress on it, and take that one audacious swing. So as we close out 2025, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to be perfect to be proud. You just need to be honest and intentional. So look back and say it out loud if you can. Look how far I've come. And then look forward and commit to this. In 2026, I will stop living by default and start living by design. If this episode helped, share it with a colleague or a friend who needs a reset, not a lecture. And I'd love to hear from you. What's your 2026 theme? What are you going to set? And what's the one audacious step you're going to take? What habit are you going to build and stick to? And send it through an email or through to the team. And I'd love to hear how it works out for you. So thank you so much for being part of the Leadership Project this year. It's been amazing. We've had our own look how far we've come moments this year. We've gone through 300 episodes with some of the most amazing thought leaders in the field of leadership and psychology. And we really look forward to joining you next year as we continue to learn together and lead together. You've been listening to the Leadership Project. If today sparked an insight, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with one other person who would benefit from listening to the show. A huge thank you to Gerald Calabo for his tireless work editing every episode, and to my amazing wife, Say, who does all the heavy lifting in the background to make this show possible. None of this happens without them. Around here, we believe leadership is a practice, not a position, that people should feel seen, heard, valued, and that they matter, and that the best leaders trade ego for empathy, certainty for curiosity, and control for trust. If that resonates with you, please subscribe on YouTube and on your favourite podcast app. And if you want more, follow me on LinkedIn and explore our archives for conversations that move you from knowing to doing. Until next time, lead with curiosity, courage, and care.